Hi, I'm Old Norse specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. My mission is to bring good information about Old Norse language, myth, and related subjects to the internet, which is where people are looking for it. From someone who understands this stuff, has an academic background in Old Norse, and has taught it at major universities for 13 years, but without ivory tower elitism, without the attitude that I need to make this hard for you to understand in order to feel like I'm smart. And in that endeavor, I make many videos on this channel about Norse language and myth and various stories therefrom. And I also translate Norse myths and sagas. My most recent work is The Wanderer's Havamal, a translation and edition of Odin's Council, both in Old Norse and English, with extensive commentary and related texts. Today, what I want to talk about is a story I actually have not published a translation of, called Völsi, Story of Völsi, which is from the manuscript Flateyjarbók. Now, Flateyjarbók is from the island called Flatey in modern Icelandic, Flatøy as pronounced in Old Norse. So it is literally just book of flat island, Flatøy. It is a beautiful manuscript from the early 1300s, and it contains what we call the greatest saga of Olaf Tryggvason. Now, Olaf Tryggvason was the first missionary king of Norway and is credited with the conversion of Iceland to Christianity during his short 5-year reign. Now, there are many weird little stories about this king and his encounters with pagan believers and even pagan gods, keeping in mind that Christians at the time didn't necessarily believe the pagan gods didn't exist, but that the Christian God was more powerful than they were. And one of the weirdest stories is this one called Vålsa Þóttir. Þóttir, short story, Vålsa of Völsi. Völsi is a horse phallus. Now, what is the story behind this? According to the saga, on a peninsula in remote northern Norway, there is a farmer and his wife who have a son and a daughter, and then a slave man and slave woman. There is a stallion, a fat favorite stallion, who dies and his carcass is cut up. The saga tells us explicitly that this is because pagan people ate horses, something that's also attested in many other written sources. Christians looked down upon this pagan practice considerably. The son of this farm family takes the male member, the phallus, from this dead horse, goes to where the women are working, and he laughs and he waves it at them and mocks them with it. But the mom says, don't let that go to waste. She takes this phallus, wraps it up in linen with herbs so that it won't rot, and then she, as this text says, helder han för Guðsinn, held it for her God. And it gained the power to stand up, and every evening she demanded that everyone honor it with a poem. Now, what happens in the saga is the king arrives with 2 of his companions traveling, and they come and accept hospitality at this house. They're disguised with poor clothes over their rich clothes. In the sagas, no one ever puts on different clothes. They just put on other clothes on top of their clothes. And a dinner table is set for the guests, and the old woman comes in with Vålsi, the horse phallus. She clutches it to her breast and then sets it down on her husband's lap, and she enthusiastically says this little ditty. Aukin ertu, Vålsi, och upp av tecken, línigader en laukum stutter. Þiggi mornir þetta blöti, en þú, bóndi sjálfur, ber þú að þér Vålsa. You have grown, Vålsi, you have been taken up, protected with linen, and supported with herbs. May Mornir receive this offering, and you, farmer himself, now you take Vålsi to yourself. Now these two lines, Thigi mornir theta blöti, may Mornir receive this offering, are repeated in every one stanza as the phallus is passed around the table. Who Mornir is, even whether Mornir is singular or plural, is actually unknown, as that word never occurs anywhere else. But my friend and colleague Mats Bertel has done quite a bit of work on that word. So the next one is the farmer. He's unenthusiastic, but he makes a poem. Then the son takes it and he waves it at his sister and makes a bad poem about the girls who are going to get Völsi wet later. Then the daughter takes it. She swears by Gevun, an obscure goddess, and other gods that she does this not by choice but by force. The daughter is very embarrassed about the horse phallus thing. And then the slaves, the man, and then the woman. And then the king's two companions make sarcastic poems about it, and then the king himself. And the king's stanza concludes, Thigi mornir theta blöti, and thu hundar hjóna, hirtu boken theta. May Mornir receive this offering, and you, dog of the family, take care of this eyesore. And then he throws it to the dog, who eats the horse phallus. Now this angers the old woman, who stands up and says, Hvater that mana mer okunra hundum gefur heilagt blöti. Who is this man unknown to me who gives dogs holy offerings, a holy offering? And at this point, of course, in typical Christian king saga fashion, the king stands up and preaches the true word of Christianity to these people, and they are converted. Now, this story is a little bit notorious, particularly because, you know, it's always a little bit awkward to talk about these parts of anatomy for those of us who are of a little bit more prudish nature. But it does seem to speak to the use of horse flesh in pre-Christian religious practice in Scandinavia, although whether the horse phallus thing is based on old tradition or whether it's just supposed to kind of make fun of pagans, remember the Christian context in which this is preserved, is basically impossible to say. However, I will point out that Völsi is probably originally the name of the eponymous ancestor of the Völsung family. He is called Wals in Beowulf, which is cognate with Völsi. This suggests that his name is in fact horse phallus, but of course that would mean this is not an insulting name, right? This is naming your boy after something that's very stereotypically virile, right? What's more virile than a stallion? The name Völsungur would then mean descendant of Völsi, and so eventually this designation that's applied to the family gets applied back to that ancestor Völsi, who becomes known as Völsungur himself by the time the saga of the Völsungs is written down. And of course I've translated that, which was published by Hackett Publishing Company in 2017. Well, I hope this has been a interesting, really curious little dive into a strange scene from one of the, unfortunately, lesser visited sagas these days. And I hope that if you've enjoyed this video, you'll check out the more than 300 other videos on my channel. I hope that you'll consider looking at my Patreon and helping me out with making these free videos in beautiful places with a small monthly donation. And I hope you'll check out my books, especially recently, The Wanderer's Hvalfamál and the Saga of the Völsungs. Well, for now, from beautiful Colorado, let me wish you all the best.